Larry Karanzewski, come on. Oh, what a delight. Thank you, everybody, for coming. Wow. This is a thrill already. I like this. Boy, that's good.
We've been chatting so hard backstage. We're worried we're only burdened out. But I'm so excited to be here tonight because Nashville is my favorite film of all time.
Oh.
I watch it almost every year. I've seen it almost every year since I was 15 when I first saw it.
Every year? Really? Isn't that interesting? And you have to tell me why you said that already, but why it's your favorite movie exactly in a nutshell. And so many people applauded. I know you're going to get to it later, but how many people have seen Nashville?
How about the other way around? How many here are seeing it tonight for the first time?
So more, the majority. Interesting. Okay, so we have the responsibility and delight to kind of introduce,
Well, actually, I'll ask you a question because you have such an incredible filmography for 50 years of amazing movies. What made you pick this movie from so early on in your career where you were sharing the screen with like 20 amazing actors? What made you pick Nashville as the film you wanted to show?
Well, I don't know. I could have picked some other things, but I've been thinking about this recently, this movie, because Ari Aster, we haven't talked about this yet, Ari Aster has that movie out in theaters now called Eddington, exactly right. And I'm a crazy about movies, and I like him particularly. I've seen Hereditary and Midsommar, and Beau is Afraid. Let me try. This is making too much noise. Sorry. Shut up. Swallow it. So I watch all interviews with directors, especially ones that I like, and I've seen so many hours of him talking about it. And he likes to say these days, it seems, that Nashville was a favorite movie of his and one of the inspirations for Eddington. You can imagine kind of an x-ray of the zeitgeist, if that's the right word, of the American story, and in a kind of absurd and collage-y way. So I was thinking about that, yes. And then, our band, I play music, I've got a band, and we played a bunch of places recently in support of this last album that we just came out called Still Blooming, and we played Nashville, and we played the Ryman Auditorium. Are you familiar with that? It's it's referred to here, it's not one of the locations here, because when we shot this in '73, the new, Opryland had just been built, and you'll see Barbara Harris at some point, her character go, oh, the new one, and she kind of does that, you know the scene I'm talking about. But we don't go back to the Ryman, and the Ryman is something, since we made Nashville, I've seen that in recent years, that Ken Burns documentary about country music. I don't know if you've seen that. And country music, I'm a jazz kind of guy, and R&B, and different, I like different things. Country, I don't know, I've always been a little bit, I don't know. Geez, that enrolled me. I love that. Really makes you appreciate and kind of love it in a whole new way. It did me. And the Ryman is part of it. So anyway, I was thinking about Nashville because of that, and for many other reasons. Maybe we'll talk about why it's meant so much over the years to me. And Robert Altman, with whom I did 4 movies, that was the second of them, has been a great, shaman, guide, and teacher throughout. And for instance, what I used to do, and I still do it here and there. Well, music always kind of gets me warmed up for one thing or another, and for what I'm doing. But if I used to have anxiety or nerves of any kind, as a mantra, I would sing to myself that song. The price of bread may worry some, but it don't worry me. Tax relief may never come, but it won't worry me. The economy's depressed, not me. My spirit's high as it can be. You may say that I ain't free, but it don't worry me. And how about the second verse? They say this goes like this. Listen how profound this is. They say that this train don't give out rides, but don't worry me. And all the world is taking sides. It don't worry me, 'cause in my empire, life is sweet. Just ask any hobo you meet. And life may be a one-way street, but it don't worry me. It don't worry me. That's a pretty good little mantra, isn't it? I don't mean to perform it, just to remind us of those lyrics for those of you who've seen it or those who haven't seen it. Wait till you see it and how it's used there. It's kind of trippy and deep and chillingly profound, I find. I don't know why you love it so much, but this movie kills me.
I love it so much because I love Altman in general. I mean, like, it's been a huge influence on the work that I've done with Scott, particularly like The People versus OJ, where we kept on watching Nashville saying what's great about this is every single character on screen thinks they're the star of the movie, that they are the lead in their own story. And that's how everyone out here, you're the lead in your own movie. And so particularly on the O.J. Simpson trial, we were like, oh my God, everyone there thought this was their show. You know?
Well, not only thought that it was their show, but perhaps, having experienced Altman, that was his credo. Everybody is equally important and absurdly the star for 15 minutes, maybe, of their movie, and the whole and the thrill of doing the movie, the real juice, the treasure of doing movies or anything is time spent, a made-up reason to spend time with each other and to connect with each other over things that we're perhaps passionate about. And that's why he called his production company Sandcastle, because making a movie is like, hey, today you make the moat and you do the tower, and we'll make it, and we'll just make it as beautifully as we can, and just for the fun of doing it, just for the sheer fun of the thing in itself. And then the water comes, of course, at night, and takes the whole thing away. The whole thing is fleeting, as if it had never been done, and then we'll do it again, just for fun. Not that he wasn't interested in the final result of the movie. I heard him say once, listen to this, it wasn't braggadocio, but he was very thrilled after Nashville when it was still being cut. And I heard over dinner him say, no, in a hotel room, we were about to go someplace, and he said, I think we got something here. He said, who cares how much we got paid for it, or who cares whatever happens to it? I think we made something like a Ming vase here. It's a kind of, I think we made something really beautiful. He said that. And then I had dinner, I remember, with David Susskind, not to drop names, who, if you know who that was, I'm sure you do, who was kind of involved in it. Did he produce it, or did he have something, or I think he was just a friend of the Altman universe, who was like, already telling Mr. Altman, here's why this is important. It's really, and Pauline Kael, I think, you probably know more than I do, how she was a champion of it.
She wrote a review of the movie before it came out. That was like, basically, this is a great film.
I was kind of aware at that time. Yes.
Do you remember him calling? How did you get the part? How did you actually, because you worked with him on California Split. Did he just call you out of the blue, or what happened?
I'll tell you exactly what happened. He had seen, I was a young actor in New York, dying to do something. I auditioned for Death Wish. I got that. The first audition I ever had for a movie, and they had me do that. And then the next week, he had seen me in this show called El Grande de Coca-Cola.
Great show.
You saw it?
I saw an LA version.
Really? Well, I played that. Miguel Hernandez, who played piano and did funny things. It was a kind of a showy thing for me off Broadway, and it had mounted itself in the, what was it called? The something theater downtown, and the hotel, an old hotel, fell down on top of it. I don't know if anybody got hurt, but I came one day, I rode my bicycle, I was living in the West Village, and I went, well, what's going on? We're about to do a show. No, not tonight, mister. It's no good. A week later, they remounted it at the Plaza Hotel, at the Plaza 9, this little cabaret, and he came, as the story goes, to staying at the Sherry Netherlands, and across the street, because there was a blizzard, to this show. Saw me and said, hey, I like that guy, or something. I don't know what happened, but they called me, Scotty Bushnell, his producer and cohort and casting person, called me and said, I'm Scotty Bushnell. I work with Robert Altman. We saw you in that show, and would you like to come out and do this California Split we're doing? Sure, okay. And I flew out for the first time to California. I'd never been here before. Los Angeles, she bought me my costume, for California Split, and I did that, couple of scenes in that. And she took me to his offices in Westwood, Lionsgate. he called, and he was there already enjoying a cocktail. It was later after a day of shooting. Gwen Wells was there walking around. I was very, starstruck with the whole thing. And he said, Jeb, they call me an important director these days. I did this movie Nashville, and it's really gone, not Nashville, MASH, and it's gone really, really well. I had already seen it in Pittsburgh, Cold Day in the Park, and MASH. But he said, so, I saw you on the show, you were great. And if you like me and I like you in this little couple of scenes, we're doing this thing this summer called Nashville.
Oh, wow. So you got both parts at the same time?
Yeah, kind of like that. And he said, yeah. And so, he never auditioned anybody. He said, yeah, you'll do that. And then I remember, wait till you see the movie, those who haven't seen it. He said, at that log cabin kind of compound that's supposed to be Henry Gibson's house, that people show up at, and I come out at. That was his house. That actually was his location house. And we had an icebreaker. He loved the group, the communal spirit, as Wes Anderson kind of has imitated or loves to do himself. And so we had an icebreaker barbecue where he made steaks on the grill and da-da-da-da. And then he made a speech to everybody, all 24 of us. And he said, so there's this character and you, and he talked about it. And then he said, his name is Jeff Goldblum, and he's going to play this tricycle man. He said, I think we're doing something a little kind of, I don't know the word he used, dicey with this. He said, I may get criticized for this because it's maybe seen as symbolic or pretentious or I don't know what, but anyway, we're trying it, and I think, it could be an interesting thing, this way and that way.
But he hired you to ride a motorcycle, and he hired you to do magic tricks, and you did neither, correct?
I'll tell you about that very quickly. Because you know what had come out? I think before that movie, Cool Hand Luke had come out, and I don't think he compared it, but somebody compared it to the character in that movie who never says anything, who wears those mirrored sunglasses and is a malevolent character, of course, but is a striking and important figure of some kind. Anyway. Yes, he said in this movie, I was called Tricycle Man. I was going to play it as it said in the script, Joan Tewksbury's script. You know the story about all that, I'm sure. That, this guy rides around on a motorcycle. I don't know if they described it. Yeah, maybe they said kind of a tricycle, three-wheeled motorcycle. I didn't know how to ride a motorcycle, so he said, so I took lessons in Manhattan. I was, and had to get my license because I had to get a license. So I took lessons and rode around on a motorcycle on the street around Manhattan and took lessons. Then finally took my test, and before I traveled to Nashville, found out that I'd failed the test. They didn't pass me, so I went there. Then I went, and the motorcycle, you'll see, it isn't a motorcycle that operates that way. It's really just a stick shift. Thing. So if you learn, and I didn't know how to drive a stick shift then, so I had to learn how to drive a stick shift, and then I did. And they trusted me, and they gave me that thing to ride to the set until I kind of mismanaged it and ran out of gas one day, and they said, okay, the Teamsters, we better take it over, and we'll see you there with the thing. Because they only had one of them. He's not one of these guys with, doubles of things and everything. That hat, you'll see I'm wearing a hat. Scotty Bush and I took me to a mall in Nashville, I think, and we bought that jacket, and I had those jeans and those boots that I wore with no socks, and that little orange sweatshirt, and she took me and got that kind of cocktail-y kind of funny jacket, and I said, how about those glasses, those orange glasses, I like those, and I wore those, and then I got that hat, and then Robert Altman saw me, he said, yeah, that looks good, hey, I just did that on California Split, I had this, because he was a gambler, he was a real gambler, I have this pin, which is like a straight flush, some cards, so why don't you put that on the hat, and you'll see that on the hat. I wish I still had it, I don't have it. Oh, so, and then of course, that's the motorcycle part of it. But now the magic part of it, none of this appeared in the script. And he said a couple of weeks before I went down there, he said, hey, do you do any sleight of hand magic? I said, no, I've never done anything like that. No. He said, well, we'll find you, or you find a magician up there in New York, who will teach you some tricks. I did. This guy, Code Norton, very nice guy, very, accomplished magician. I went over to his apartment many times, and he, taught me and then got me down there with a bag of tricks, including that salt trick that you see me do, and many other things, some things of which aren't used, including this rope routine trick that he taught me. I went down there. First day, I went to because we were all staying in this compound together, this little kind of motel, compound. We were all there together the whole time. During our filming, as a matter of fact, Richard Nixon resigned. I remember us, being in the office, in his production office, and look, everybody come here. Look at the television. He's resigning. I'll be darned. Look at that. So that happened. So I went. So the first day, anyway, it was an incredible time. The first day, I go down to Robert's room. He says, "Come to the room. We're going and show me the tricks. Show me all the tricks you learned." I did. I showed him the whole routine. He said, "Okay. Oh, that's pretty good." He said, "I don't know where we're going to put them, but bring every day you come to the set, bring the whole bag, and we'll figure out what kind of mix and match what you're doing and like that." So he taught me. So one of the things was the rope trick. I did the rope tricks, I guess. It never did wind up in the movie. But the only trick I kept up with that I remembered, everything else went away, was that rope routine, which I then tried to sneak into a lot of movies. It appears in a scene in Adam Resurrected. He let me do it. I've done it on TV a couple of times. And in this last Wicked, in the first Wicked movie, when I first meet the ladies, I do that coin trick as it was, described in the script. And I said, "Hey, John M. Chu, I got this other rope trick thing. Maybe I pull out, and I got one made that's green. I'll pull it out and I'll do this thing." I said, "Okay, yeah." They filmed it. He cut it out. But you'll see, if you watch Wicked 1, you'll see Elphaba in a, I did it and then gave it to her. You'll see a little vestige of it in one of the shots in her hand as she's doing that. There we go. I got a million of them. I like the show business.
There's so many here who've never seen this movie before. Can you tell them a little bit about the process working with Altman? I mean, he's very famous for this, to us at least, about the improvisation and letting the actors create their own characters. And so for them, they're probably new at all this. So can you tell them how did it work? Particularly your character, who doesn't speak.
I don't speak, yeah. He said, what, somebody not to toot my own horn, because I don't do anything like this. My current approach is get with a good director. If you can't be good unless you're with a good director, unless it's in a good movie. You can do everything you can, but if the movie doesn't work and the director isn't good, that's a rare thing, and even for a good director, sometimes they don't make a good movie. But it's really lucky if you get a good director. So, I was going to say, oh yes, so the process, I was going to say that he told somebody was introducing, he'd introduce me, because nobody knew me at that time. He'd say, somebody would come around, Julie Christie or, Elliot Gould or something, and who were in the movie, wind up in the movie. And he'd say, "Hey, then this Jeff Goldblum, he does this, he doesn't talk in the movie. He reminds me of Harpo Marx." He'd say, "Harpo Marx, I don't do anything as accomplished as Harpo Marx, but you know the Marx Brothers. You've had some truck with the Marx Brothers. Anyway, so wait a minute. I was going to say, so the process of Robert Altman. Well, yes, he's use what Meisner would say, use what exists. And it meant many things, and it still is revealing itself as to many things that it can mean. And he is an exemplar, Robert Altman, of use what exists. Life is more absurd than I could ever cook up. So I'll be prepared, but let's see what happens and make use of that. And trust the actors. He loved the actors, but get them to be responsible for their own stuff. Many of the actors in this movie wrote their own songs. I think, Henry Gibson and da-da-da-da. You'll see the piano player, we got palsy during that, is Richard Baskin.
Who wrote all the songs?
He wrote the song, Frog. He plays Frog. Frog, he plays like Frog, get a haircut. You don't belong in Nashville, Henry Gibson says. So he and I were palsy. His sister is Edie Baskin, who used to take pictures for Saturday Night Live, photographer. And of course, they're both heirs to the Baskin-Robbins fortune, I do believe. 31 flavors. So that's Richard Baskin. But wait a minute. So the process is, yes, he trusts the actors. He goes, okay, show me what I'm going to film today. You show me. You show me what, I'll film it. You show me what I'm going to film. He puts a lot of responsibility in your hands, so you're on your toes and you're having fun to really be part of it. And then, of course, it's a communal experience, like I said, and every night, famously, he shows dailies. I don't know if anybody does that anymore, but everybody sees the dailies together, and it's a lovely party. Because he would say, you know, the final film and the cut film is going to be one thing, but really what our work is what the dailies are. That's what we all did, and we all did that together, and that's the whole thing. We'll pick some of it and throw some of it out, but really, you should see all of it, and let's do it all together. And so there was that. And then improvisation. Joan Tewksbury had, you know, I won't go into, you can find out how he sent her down there. He said, just take a journal of what's going on down there in Nashville, and she kind of wrote this thing. And that was a blueprint, really, and there was a lot of improvisation in those scenes. Me, I was supposed to not talk. I guess it's good that I didn't talk, but I did a couple movies with him before and later, and I'm a late bloomer, and I'm a slow learner, and I'm stupid in a lot of ways, and didn't know myself in a lot of ways, and keep learning about myself, and about improvisation particularly, and I sometimes wish, I see a lot of things that I've done in the past and go, I could do that better, I could do that better, I wish I'd done that better. But his movies, I kind of have a hankering, whatever happened was perfect, I guess, but I could do them better now, I think. And I wish I could do a movie with Robert Altman now and go, here, Robert Altman, let me show you, let me see if any of this is useful, because I could do this and this and this and this. I'm a little bit more familiar with what I have to offer, you know. California Split is a lovely movie before that. I love how he uses George Segal and Elliot Gould. They've both been in a lot of movies, but the way he uses them and allows them to do what they're doing, that's up my alley, you know.
You mentioned Sanford Meisner. You trained with him. I mean, did that kind of being in the moment of it all really help you in something like Altman, where anything can happen at any time?
Yes. Well, that's his technology and theory, which was more than just that. He had a foundational training method. The improvisation was one of the cornerstones of the first year. There are 2 years in his program. Yes, he was very sure, like all the modern actor approaches involve being in the moment, so-called. So yes, what's interesting about what's going on here is not me. You got to get, in acting, that's a natural thing to get, uptight and self-conscious about, people are looking at me, I better be interesting, so I'll arrange myself in a certain way, or I'll be interesting. Oh, forget it. Don't get interested in yourself. Get interested, pay attention to the other person and what they do to you. It's not what you do, it's what the other person makes you do. That will bring you to spontaneous life, even if what you have is designed, even if it's a line. Still, the way they do it, if you're open, if you're available, if you're present and awake to the other person and listening as if it's the first time, that's a little bit of a leap of playfulness, unless you're really improvising and you're surprising each other. But if you're playing this pretend game, that's what makes you alive. So that was his technology. And then Robert Altman was the practitioner in the state-of-the-art movie making of a lot of that, of what that is. Yeah, so I was into it.
What I think is so great about you in this movie, and also almost all your other performances, is your listening, is watching you think. I mean, I feel like you can get Jeff Goldblum think on screen. Like he's processing. You're paying attention to what's going on. You're almost analyzing the scene as it happens. It's kind of interesting. And so I guess that's Meisner, but it's like, to me, often you wind up playing the smartest guy in the room in movies, whether it's Jurassic Park or The Fly. And how do you do that without being self-conscious? How do you be that person? How do you listen so well?
That's all very kind. Let's see. Well. First of all, what you said reminded me of something. Somebody I'd never heard this before. They said if you find that you're in a room where you're the smartest guy in the room, you're in the wrong room. You got to find a room where you have smarter people. You got to be in the learning process. That's one thing. But I know what you mean about The Fly, Jurassic Park. I seem to be the guy who knows what's going on.
But even this movie, where I'm with what Altman said. This character, the Tricycle Man, could have been a disaster. It could have been the hippie magician who on his bike. It could have been Doug Henning.
I saw Doug Henning. I saw the magic show. Did you ever see that on stage?
I just made a trick. I went on stage and I cut something for Doug Henning.
You're kidding.
Only like 12.
Wow. I saw Blue Man Group and they brought me up on stage for something. I hate audience participation. I didn't want that. But Doug Henning, you ever see Martin Short? Doesn't Martin Short do a kind of an impersonation of Doug Henning? Magic. So, it's a world of magic, Yeah. Well, there are 100,000 ways you can miss the bullseye, and it takes a genius like Robert Altman to kind of find the way, the new way, the pioneering way to bring some different, truthful authenticity to it. Let's see. Well, wait a minute. Listening. Oh, listening. You know what you made me think of? Here's another one where I'm going to toot my own horn by means of somebody else's compliment. But I didn't understand at the time. But Shelley Winters, with whom I did Next Stop Greenwich Village, a movie or two after that, and I did these couple of scenes. I liked them. I was functioning well in a very primitive way. Then Paul Mazursky was the director of that. We palled up. She kind of took a liking to me, and we got palsy, and we do script readings and stuff. And I saw her teach at the Actors Studio. She was teaching, and did she say there or at another occasion? Jeff Goldblum, when he's acting, what's good about it is you can see him thinking. Just what you said. You can see him thinking. I was like, really? That's interesting. Okay, that's interesting. Here's what I have to say about that, because it sounds like what you're saying could be seen as cerebral or mental or cut off in some ways. And there's a cliche going around for the last period of time where, in your head. People say, oh, you don't want to be in your head. That can mean something legitimately to stay away from, but I think it's misunderstood here and there, because I think some actors think that you got to be dumb to be an actor, and you shouldn't be academic or cerebral. And Sandy Meisner, sang that song, and he was right. You have to first get in touch with your tummy and your impulses and be like that. But at a certain point, in my humble opinion, in my experience, and even in my little instrument here, what the other person says or does, or how the other person says or does it, can make you mad, sad, glad, or 1,000 other things that you may feel. But it can also trigger spontaneously some mental life and make you go, you know what you just said, or the way you just said that, you made me think about this and that and this and that I hadn't, that is surprising even to me, And so there's that. I think it's okay if a person, and many characters you must tell the story of how this person is now thinking something new, or yes, of course, feeling something and reacting and being free, but you can be thinking too. I was also going to say something. Oh, so that's in a scripted thing. Now, I do especially like improvisation these days, like what I was doing today here and there, because when the camera's on, they even more than stage work in a different way. You can improvise, and it can fail, and then they can say, okay, throw that away, and let me see if I can. A lot of people say that stage is an actor's medium. Yes, I know what you mean. You do the whole thing, and once you're on there, nobody can mess with you, and I get that. But you've rehearsed it for a long time, and people have been messing with you and directing you and stuff like that. In movies, I've found, sometimes if working with Wes Anderson, or, he wants the not the and, and I can do that. I like to do that and try to make that seem as if it's spontaneous. But you can also get people to say, please tweak it the way you want it. How would you say it is fine, and let's just make up a whole new thing. Steven Spielberg at one point said, I think he didn't say it this way, but he said, what you're doing is getting, I think, a little stale or mechanical. Do it again, say something else, just say it another way, make up something, And so that can skin the cat, and I like to do that these days. And if you're doing that, Well, you really are thinking on that. You really are. I like to be really inventing something right there. I don't like anything in Tupperware. Even if it's a scripted thing, there has to be something fresh about your inner journey and your rendition of it that you are inventing right there. And especially if you're improvising, oh, sure. Hey, okay, turn it on. I'll surprise you. Watch this. Da-da-da-da-da-da. And then you tell her that other joke and you do that. Da-da-da-da-da. Okay. Was any of that good? If it's not, see if any of that's useful. So I think it's an actor's medium. Are we 56 seconds
I don't like
from
that
the
at all.
Jesus Christ, I'm so sorry.
Well,
I'm too verbose.
Did you always want to be an actor?
I got the bug when I was 10 years old. My dad said, if you find something you love to do, that may be a key to a lighthouse, a compass to your vocational choice. And I realized I got to have a job. I better row my own boat. And when I was in a camp between 5th and 6th grades, I did this show. I was cast in this part in this little thing, and my parents were there. They came up, said, "What, did you like it?" I was like, "Mm-hmm, mm-hmm." And I kept very secret to myself over the course of the next several years, during my teenage years, I want to be an actor. That's what I want to be. And by the time I went to Carnegie Mellon University in the summers between 9th and 10th, 10th and 11th grades, I was deeply in love with it and would write on the shower door every morning, "Please God, let me be an actor." And then I would rub it off so nobody would see it before I left the shower. And that was it. So I was crazy about that. Yeah, that's when I wanted to be an actor.
You're a great actor. Ladies and gentlemen, Jeff Goldblum. And enjoy one of the best movies ever made.
Enjoy Nashville. See you in